Hello everybody, Mega Goal 4, 11 form, meaning and function, pages 64 and 65. Now before we start this lesson, I'd like to tell you something. ودي أقول لكم بس إنه للملخصات وكذلك للحلول لتمارين كتاب الطالب راح أنزلها على صفحتي على الانستغرام من الزهرة FA. If you would like to follow my Instagram page, please do so. Okay, so right now please move on to pages 64 and 65. Now the first thing we will be doing is looking at the objectives. Number 1, count and non-count nouns. Number 2, expressions of quantity, some, any. Number 3, would like. Number 4, words connected with recipes. Number 5, expressions of quantity, a few, a little, a lot, of, much, many, and enough. And the last one, sequence words first, then after that, finally. So these are the things that we will be covering in this lesson. And right now, please move on to pages 64 and 65. And please follow up with me as I explain this lesson. So the first thing we will be looking at is count nouns, اللي هي الأسماء المعدودة. So count nouns, طبعا من اسمها I can count them, okay, and they have singular and plural forms. طبعا لهم مفرد وللمفرد طبعا لها plural جمع. Okay, for example, the singular count nouns, I have a burger, an egg. As for the plural count nouns, a burger will be, for example, 2 burgers. So here it will be 2 burgers. Okay, and I'm gonna add s to the noun. An egg, for example, I wanna say 3 eggs. طبعا when you add s to the noun لازم تتبعون قاعدة إضافة الاس بطريقة صحيحة. Okay, so this is the first thing, count nouns. And the second thing we will be looking at is the non-count nouns, الأسماء الغير معدودة. من اسمها طبعا أسماء غير معدودة معناها أنه لا أستطيع عدها. You cannot count. Okay, they do not use a or an. ما أستخدم a أو an لأن a أو an معناها واحد، يعني a book, a table. Okay, بس ما مع الأسماء الغير معدودة I cannot say a rice, an oil. Okay, so we do not use a or an articles. And they do not also have a plural forms. ما لها جمع. For example, let's take an example. خلينا نشوف مثلا rice اللي هو الرز. So also we have oil. I cannot count it. Okay, لا أستطيع عده. I cannot say an oil. I cannot say rice. Okay. Also, I cannot say oils. ما أقدر أضيف لها اس عشان أحصل على الجمع. So they do not have a plural forms. Okay. Now here, some nouns can be count or non-count. بعض الأسماء ممكن تكون معدودة وفي نفس الوقت غير معدودة. فهنا a salad, and it can be as well some salad. Okay. فهنا هذه الأسماء تعتبر معدودة وبرضو غير معدودة. A soup can be also some soup. Okay. Now this is regarding the first thing, which is count and non-count nouns. Okay. قبل ما ننتقل للنقطة اللي بعدها بس أنا حابة أوضح لكم إنه في برضو عندنا singular count nouns وعندنا البلورال form منها يجي بس بدون إضافة الإس. يعني هنا في قاعدة معينة لإضافة الإس وفي irregular plural count nouns ممكن ترجعون للقاعدة. مثلا عندي child الجمع منها children for example. أحيانا المفرد نفس الجمع. فقط حبيت أوضح لكم هذه النقطة though it's not mentioned in your book. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing, which is expressing or of quantity أو اللي هو التعبير, or sorry, I've written here expressing and it should be expression. Okay, so expression of quantity. Okay, so expression of, hold on, let me just write it. Okay, expressions of quantity التعبير عن الكميات باستخدام some and any. أوكي هنا some طبعا نستخدم السم عادة مع affirmative statement الجمل المثبتة. Also we use some with non-count and also plural nouns. أوكي مع المعدود والغير معدود ويستخدم some في الجمل affirmative اللي هي المثبتة. Okay, here I have an example. For example, you can say, for example, there is. Okay, so since that the sentence is affirmative, we are gonna use some. And for example, there is some juice. طبعا ذكرنا أنها تستخدم مع اللي هو non-count الغير معدود والcount أو plural. You can say there are also طبعا some eggs. Okay, so here I can use, as I said previously, use some in affirmative statement جمل مثبتة, and also it is used with non-count nouns and plural nouns. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. But before we move on to the next thing, there is something which is mentioned here and I'd like to draw your attention to. So sometimes some is also used in questions for offers. ممكن استخدم some إذا مثلا أبغى أعرض على الشخص. مثلا I can say, do you want, okay, some pizza? Okay, do you want some pizza? طبعا this is offering, أعرض على الشيء. Do you want some pizza? How about some coffee? طبعا في حالة العرض. Okay, is that clear? Now let's move on to the next thing, which is any. Now any is used in negative statement مع الجمل المنفية. Okay, negative, not. Also any تستخدم specifically مع questions مع الأسئلة. Okay, ما استخدم some, استخدم any. some فقط استخدمها إذا أبغى أعرض على الشخص. Also, any is used with non-count nouns and plural nouns. Okay, now here I have an example to look at. I'm gonna write them right here, okay, under each one of them. Okay, so the first one, use a negative statement. So here you can say there, okay, isn't. طبعا since that the statement is negative, so you're gonna say there isn't any juice. All right, طبعا non-count nouns. And you can say, for example, there aren't, okay, negative, and again negative. I cannot say some, no, I have to use any. There aren't any eggs. طبعا واضح ان معناها ان لا يوجد اي بيض, لا يوجد اي عصير. Okay, now here if I want to make a question asking about juice, طبعا هنا بس أوضح لكم أن في الأسئلة مثل ما قلنا نستخدم any. Okay, so it's gonna be are, sorry, yes, no, sorry, I'm sorry, so it's gonna be is, sorry, you have to start all the time with the auxiliary verb. Is there, طبعا مثل ما وضحت لكم مسبقا راح يكون any, okay, and juice, question mark. Okay, and there aren't any eggs, it's gonna be are there, and again I'm gonna use any. As I said previously, we use any with the questions, and the noun here is eggs. All right, so is that clear? So any تستخدم مع negative statement in questions, and also any is used with non-count nouns and plural nouns. All right, now let's move on to the next thing, which is would like. Okay, so would like is used for or to express preferences, الأشياء اللي تفضلها. Okay, would like. For example, you can say يعني في الأسئلة what اوكي طبعا وبعدها يجي would، بعدها طبعا السبجكت what would you okay like. So here you are asking the person about their preferences. What would you like? Okay, this is a WH question. Now if you want to ask a yes or no question, you can start with would. So yes or no question, starting with the auxiliary verb اللي هو now would طبعا subject. Would you like for example pizza? Would you like? Now here you are asking the person about their preferences الأشياء المفضلة عندهم. So you can say also يعني in sentences or in statement you can say I. طبعا هنا اختصار would is I'd. Okay, I'd like for example pizza and full stop. Okay, now this is regarding would like. As I said previously, we use would like for preferences. Okay, to express your preferences الأشياء اللي تفضلها. طبعا مثل ما انتم شفتوا WH question, yes or no question, also in statement. Now let's move on to the next thing, which is yes, expressions of quantity. Okay, now expression of quantity اللي هو التعبير عن الكميات a few, a little, a lot of, much, many, and enough. Okay, so you have to make sure that you pronounce these words accurately. All right, now the first thing we will be looking at is count. Okay, a few. طبعا a few معناها قليل، لكن a few تستخدم مع المعدود. Okay, so you have to say okay, you need for example a few. All right, a few for example tomatoes. طبعا نفس اللي في كتابكم. خلاص، مثل ما انتم شايفين tomatoes is count معدود. اوكي، وانتم عارفين المعدود يعني ايش اللي ينطبق عليه. فهنا قليل a few استخدمها مع المعدود. Now طبعا يقابلها مع non count الاشياء الغير معدودة a little. Okay, so you say okay, you need. طبعا you cannot يعني هنا مثلا بقول you need cheese. Okay, so here cheese اللي يحدد طبعا الاسم. cheese اللي هو الجبن غير معدود. طبعا cheese الجبن، ما أقصد مثلا slice شريحة، لا I'm referring to the cheese. Okay, so here you are gonna say طبعا معناها قليل a little. Okay, a little cheese. So here cheese is non-count، لا أستطيع عده. alright، طبعا بالنسبة للتعبير عن الكثرة okay مع الأسماء المعدودة أستخدم many. Okay, so again I want you to practice pronouncing this word in specifically accurately. Many. Okay, اللي هو كثير. Now as I told you مع المعدود أستخدم what many. So let's take a look at this example. For example, I eat. Okay, مثلا you can say, so here if I say خلينا نكتب الاسم قبل. Now vegetables. Okay, so here you are gonna say many. I eat many vegetables. Alright, now يقابلها مع الغير معدود يقابلها much. Okay, طبعا let's say I do not okay eat for example bread. Okay, now here you can say طبعا إيش تستخدمون much. طبعا هنا I do not eat much bread because bread is what? Yes, you're right. Okay, طبعا برضو أستخدم مع الأسئلة، ما تنسون مش في الستيتمنت فقط، أستخدمها برضو مع الأسئلة. خليني أوضح لكم. مثلا you want to ask about the bananas, يعني the number of the bananas you ate or you eat every day. So you're gonna say how many. Okay, so how many. برضو هنا بيجي بعدها على طول الاسم، ودائما الاسم بس أوضح لكم this is very important يكون جمع. Okay, so how many bananas, how many apples. Okay, so how many bananas, لا تنسون دائما يجي بعدها جمع. How many bananas you eat every day, or how many. فهنا bananas لازم يجي أول شي بعد الماني جمع، وبرضو مع الماني يجي الاسم المعدود. Now I do not eat much bread. طبعا for example if you want to ask about how much what, for example how much milk, how much oil did you add to this, for example recipe, or did you add to the dough. Okay, anyways, so how much, because here the noun is non-count. Okay, so how much, sorry, pardon me. So how much milk do you drink? Okay, I hope that this is clear enough. اوكي طبعا وبرضو لما نسأل عن الأسعار، لأن المال غير معدود، you ask how much is this. alright. أرجع أعيد لكم باختصار أن مع الكاونت أستخدم many سواء في الأسئلة أو في الجمل. I eat many vegetables. How many bananas do you eat? non-count أستخدم معها much. I do not eat much bread. Okay. How much milk do you drink? Okay, now let's move on to the next thing, which is a lot and enough. Now, a lot and enough are different because they are used for both non-count and count nouns. استخدمها مع الأسماء المعدودة والغير معدودة. For example, you can say I eat طبعا a lot of eggs. Okay, so a lot of eggs. A lot of eggs. All right, but I do not eat a lot of bread. فقط بوضح لكم أن هنا الإيجز تعتبر count معدودة، لكن bread non-count, but a lot is used with both count and non-count. Alright? Now, let's take a look at examples, more examples used with enough. So you can say, I do not eat, enough. طبعا لا تلاحظون ان enough طبعا تجي قبل الاسم enough fruit. طبعا fruit ممكن تكون so I do not eat enough fruit or fruits. And you can say as well, I do not drink enough water. I do not drink enough طبعا water, whatever, however you pronounce this word. So as I said previously, a lot and enough are used with both count and non-count nouns. Now let's move on to the next thing, but before we move on فقط حبيت أوضح لكم إني أنا هنا لخصت. طبعا count nouns الأسماء المعدودة أستخدم معها a few, many, a lot and enough. بالنسبة non-count nouns أستخدم معها a little, much, a lot and enough. طبعا what do both of these have in common? A lot and enough. يجون مع count non-count. Okay, now let's move on to the last thing, or actually to the next thing, to the thing before the last thing, اللي هو sequence word. اللي هو يعني مثل ما انتم عارفين اللي هو الكلمات اللي استخدمهم عادة للإشارة إلى الترتيب، أو مثلا لو بعطي خطوات. So first أولا، then بعد ذلك after that، بعد ذلك finally في الأخير. إذا مثلا أنتوا عادة نستخدم sequence word عشان أوضح لكم، أو sequence word مثلا إذا في شيء يتبع sequence معين، ترتيب معين. مثلا for example if you want to cook something or you are trying to follow a recipe. Okay, so first معناها أولا. Here you mix the flour and the eggs. So first طبعا and it has to be followed with a comma. Okay, now you add a little butter. Okay, then okay طبعا first is very important أولا، يعني ما يصلح استخدم then قبلها أكيد، يعني this is why they are called sequence، يجون sequence معين. Now you put in a teaspoon of baking powder. You can say after that, comma. Okay, you let it rise. طبعا finally. Okay, comma, you let it rise. All right. Now let's move on to the next thing. I'm just gonna go through it very quickly, which is words connected with recipes. اللي هي كلمات لها علاقة بالوصفات. Recipes. Okay. So dish. Okay. Appetizer, main, dessert. Okay. طبعا اللي هي dish اللي هو الطبق. هل هو مقبلات، هل هو main course اللي هو طبق رئيسي، أو حلا. Okay, أو حلويات. Now as for the quantity, half, a quarter, 1, 2, cup, teaspoon, tablespoon, a handful, a clove of garlic. Okay, طبعا اللي هو quantity الكميات. Ingredients اللي هي المكونات أو المقادير، oil, egg وهكذا، butter, milk, cheese. Now actions اللي هي الأفعال اللي تستخدمونها، مثلا measure اللي هو مثلا توزن الشيء، add, cut, chop, mix، يعني وهكذا. Now utensils اللي هي الأدوات، knife, pan وهكذا. Cooking method اللي هو طريقة الطبخ، fry, bake, roast or grill. Okay, so these are very important words, and of course if you are a cook إذا كنت طباخ you would have to know these words and memorize them by heart. And of course if you like to read recipes in English, or if you like to apply recipes in English as well, you need to memorize these words by heart. Now that's it. طبعا راح نزل لكم الملخصات مثل ما ذكرت لكم والحل على حسابي على صفحتي على الانستغرام. If you would like to follow me, please do so. Till next time, have a good one.